will I be given anything? Like he was like, it's possible to deal with this guy, but the price has to be awesome. So the first question that he starts to ask is, what will be given to this guy? And when he was told a wife will be given and it will be the king's daughter, well, you see him say yes, but the trigger to say what is the price for dealing with this problem stemmed largely from a level of self-awareness that David had. And I reason this way. One of the things, I'm assuming we know the David and Goliath story. One of the things that David does when he's addressing Goliath, he says, you come to me with, spear and shield and all that, but I come to you in the name of the Lord. At age 17 or thereabout, for someone to know that I belong to a covenant that is superior, that I'm coming to you with a slightly different model. I'm coming to you with news. I have breaking news. And then he says what he will do after he has done what he will do to Goliath. One of the things he says is, and I will feed your head. I'll cut off your head and I'll feed it to the birds. The level of confidence stemmed largely from his understanding of who he was. As a matter of fact, if you look at how he dealt with the lion, Bible in Asema, he say in his testimony, he says, the lion came and picked a lamb and went with it, and I ran past. We assume that the lion came, attacked, and he attacked him. He pursued a lion that had picked one of the whether it's sheep or goats and all that, and that tells you that he knew he will win. There's some level of awareness that then builds your capacity to start understanding the assignments that you have. And that pretty much might be all I'll quote from the Bible for now. But if it comes in, again, that could be a rhema for someone, that there's a level of understanding, that you look at obstacles through the eyes of knowing that either I belong to a different covenant, I come on stronger terms, I know myself what. And I don't know, David, have you seen these guys Matthew, these guys who come and say, I'm looking for a job. Then you ask them, what kind of job are you looking for? Then they say, any ile itapatikana. Then you ask them, how much will we pay you? Ile tu mtanipatia. And you see, sometimes, okay, we may not blame them, but there's a level of lack of knowing what you're bringing on the table. And because of that, then you're not able to bargain sufficiently for what. Now, a look at the change curve, and this is retrospecting on what 2020 has been. Naturally, the change from point A to point B is a straight line. They say it's the shortest distance. I must say that it's until recently that I realized the word hypotenuse has a bigger meaning than just what they were telling us. But from A to B, at point A is where we were in January 2019, saying 2020 is my year. 2020 is loading. In fact, I saw a prophet in South Africa who was saying, I have gone into 2020. I see, I don't want to go there. But the point is that at point A to point B, we expect it to be a straight line. And most times that's what we do. When you look at you talking about what are my priorities for the month, what are my goals for this year, mostly the expectation is we don't build worst case scenarios. We just look at the best case scenarios. So straight line. But what happens? Life 2020 served as a curve. And the first level, when change started happening, when COVID started happening, maybe I should say this early on. I was in Safaricom at some point. Safaricom was my employer. But before that, I was with Faulu Kenya. I worked with Faulu Kenya for 2 months. I will not share for security reasons because Faulu is my client right now. So I can't say much about why I left. But before that, I was a teacher in Malindi for a year. And then before that, I was a teacher at Friends School Kamusinga for a few months, I think 6 or so. But when you look at my life, I kept changing. And largely because I was looking for my own identity. And sometimes what happens is you never fully know yourself, but God aligns people in your way who start speaking on or talking about things that then start shaping who you are. But largely there are people who speak about the water you carry and you start aligning yourself to God's purposes. So by the time you reach 19, 20, you're still not fully aware of what you are. But when you reach 25, in fact, when help stops, for those of you went to public university, when help stops sending money your way, there's an awakening when you realize I'm not going to get any other money. There's an awakening that starts to speak to you, start looking for opportunities. When I joined Safaricom, I enjoyed the training session, the induction session. I was joining as a customer care agent. You remember when Zain had joined the mobile market, and colored the world pink, saying pink is the color of clarity. In fact, there were adverts where people were jumping from the green side of life to the pink side of life. And then, so one of the things Safaricom did was, I think, to hire customer care agents who will talk to customers. If you may be aware, there were call wars, or what are they, cost battles around pricing wars, where now Zain had dropped, I think, the call rates to half what Safaricom was offering. And so at that time, for Safaricom, Safaricom was already enjoying or experiencing congestion at that time. So there was no way price was going to be dropped. If anything, for you to drop price to half, you need to reduplicate your systems, literally. And you have to wait for shareholders to pass that. And because of that, Safaricom hired us now. I think he hired about 1,500 of us to answer calls and talk to customers. I have always been that person who has the energy. Let's go, let's talk to customers. I did 2 months of training, paid for. I enjoyed it to the core. I got my first call. It was PUK related, and I knew I'm in the wrong job. I knew it. The Lord spoke loudly. If God can use a donkey, clearly, I think I heard him say, this is not it. But you see now, the needs on my table dictated that I need to stay there, and I stayed there for 5 years. But literally, one of the things I started doing is I went into training, volunteering to do training internally. And of course, at some point, I was a corporate account manager doing sales for corporates. And for me, Safaricom is the best university I've ever gone to. And in that sense, I'm grateful. But why I'm lifting Safaricom is when I was anticipating jumping out of the ordinary, I met a gentleman in Safaricom. He's called Ken Luhombo. He currently works for Visa. And I went to him and I said, dude, I'm so conflicted. I don't know what to do. And one of the things is he introduced me to corporate politics, where he told me you need to know what is happening, but you don't have to participate in it. Your knowledge of what is happening will sort you out on headaches that you will not know. And that started to speak to. Then he told me, boss, you have the gift, you speak articulately, you should shoot for hire. Then he gave me a CD by Jack Canfield, and that started my journey of knowing that, yes, there's one thing to know you are a round peg in a square hole. It's another thing to know that it's okay to be a round peg in a square hole and thrive as who you are. And I think I want to thank Lohombo for that. I think he may not know, but he started to speak to me. And when change is announced, think of COVID context when it started. The first level we go into is shock. What happens, and I think I'll just run through this so that I unpack 2020, so that I project on where I feel the trajectory of 2021 is. The shock is where you receive the news and you're told there's a lockdown. And I think at that time, Matthew mentioned, when you had the idea and said, what can we do in this context? The parents are panicking, they're starting to praise, saying teachers are the best thing that has ever happened. Now we know that they have been doing some work. So when they strike, they are normally saying something serious. Now we will pay attention. Oh, teachers deserve it. But we were shocked because who knew the world can be reset? Who knew the world can come down to the granules where things start, people start being told, you can actually sit down, stay at home. Some of us who are told stay at home. Needless to mention that my calendar year for my business starts in March. Usually Jan, Feb, March, you talk to people and they have fresh budgets, they don't want to talk to you. They tell you talk to us in October. So literally for me, the door was closed when things were just starting to look up. And I had promised my wife, this is the year where if I've ever been a husband, this is the year you will know husband Juma. But guess what? Shock is the first level where you break, when change is announced, when things are not normal, we get into shock. Think of this way, when you go to hospital for a routine checkup, then the doctor is asking you, ulifika aje hapa? You are a walking dead. So what happens? You slump into shock. And then you move into denial. You're like, no, the country can't be locked. No. Then you move into anger. When you actually, your boss tells you, you will have to work from home, don't come. And usually maybe for you, your motivation for going to work is 10 o'clock tea. Now you are angry that you no longer are able to mingle. Maybe you're the kind of person who you want your boss to see you to know you're working, and now you're not being seen. So anger starts brewing and boiling up. If you don't manage the anger phase, depression logs in. After depression, you start bargaining. You've heard of those people who say, I am sick, but God, just heal me. I will go to Lodwar and preach the gospel. Just heal me this once. Nisomeshe tu watoto ndio unichukue. That's called bargaining phase. I don't want to go into the details at this point, but then you make a decision, you accept, and then we had 2020, then we have into 2021. Now, there are three postures you take in that change scenario. Either you take what you call the leader's position, and the leaders are the positive guys who always have positive energy. You talk to them and they tell you, I don't know what is happening, but we will come out of it strong. You know, leaders, the leadership position. But there's another position we call the laggers, who sit on the fence. You ask them, they're like, I also don't know. I'm just waiting to see what will happen. I also don't know. You know, they sit on the fence. Then you have the levers. At work, the guys who emotionally check out, but they're on payroll, those are the people we call the levers. You've heard of those guys who say, "Ata mi na apply my job, I'm applying, my CV is going." They are doing nothing but just to destabilize you. They are the ones who are saying the levers, they are emotionally checked out, but they are still on payroll. Now, in any change scenario, in the largest scheme of self-awareness, you will assume these three positions. You're either a leader, you're either a lagger, or you're a lever. The worst people are those levers I mentioned. Now, I'll quickly talk about love. And I think all of you have ever been in love. I keep mentioning this quite a bit. When you first of all leave campus, I remember when you reach fourth year, most times you're told, hey, at least talk a campus na degree mbili, either a wife or there's usually pressure to activate your social life when you're just about to clear college. And what happens is you start looking for potential. You know, they call them potential husband or potential wife. If you ask the ladies what Mr. Right looks like, they'll tell you tall, dark, and handsome. They will tell you, we want someone who can drive. If he's driving, well and good. Yeah, he dresses up nicely. He has cologne. He goes to the gym. That is a plus. You know, if he has money, that is even better. But when years start to advance, they start compromising. Like, he might not be tall, but he has money. You know, now the tallness is eliminated. He might be short, but he has some money. Or he might be not, you know, having a car, but it looks like he has ambition and a dream, you know. So they start compromising. When they reach maybe let's say 40, 45, and maybe Mr. Right has not showed up. And sometimes maybe the qualification you're looking for at that point is only a godly person. A godly person. Or can he read and write? Yeah. Does he... Yeah, can he read and write? Can he write 1 to 4 because the M-Pesa PIN number is only 4 letters, you know? But the point is this, that we start looking at that. But I can tell you, every lady has ever gone on a date with Mr. Right and decided that this is not the guy I want to spend the rest of my life with. And when you ask the question, why is it that this is the right guy? You looked forward to this date, you were happy, but how come you don't want to go? And you'll hear them say things like, he does not understand me. You'll hear them say things like, he talks too much. You'll hear things like, he never listens. You'll hear things like, this guy is selfish, or he talks to waiters in the wrong way and stuff like that. What happened, or there are people who say when he's eating, utafikiria anafua jeans, you know, the noise people make when they are eating, you know, can push someone out of a relationship. And the question then is, and I'm sure for the men in this forum, I'm sure you've ever seen Beauty and the Beast. Like, you look at a beautiful lady and you look at the husband and you're like, hapa kasi Mungu, I do not know what is going on here. And vice versa, you know, where you look at a lady who, according to the standards of men, hajacheza sana, you know, hajaenda mbali kisura. But then you look at the husband, he's the most handsome according to the standards of men. And you ask, what happened? The reason I'm mentioning this is mostly when we make decisions about self-awareness, we need to understand that our push for decision making is irrational. We make decisions based on emotions, and we just justify their decisions after the fact. And I'll give a last example, then I move as I move towards the self-awareness lens. Matthew, when you got your girl and you wanted to take her to your parents, one of the things you needed to is to pitch for her to your parents, you know. Go, you tell them, this, I found a lady who can take care of me. I found a lady who is a homemaker. I found a lady who is respectful and is hardworking. Those are the things you pitch to your parents. But when you talk to her, that's not what you tell her. When you talk to her, you tell her, when I talk to you, my heart feels quiet. I feel buju buju. I feel, but you don't go to your mother and say, I want to marry this woman because I feel buju buju. It will not work. But it's the buju buju that helps you make the decision. It is not the hard working. It is not the beauty. It is not the homemaking. It is that feeling of safety, that buju feeling is where the decision making lies. And we need to understand in a higher level of self-awareness that our decision making is largely irrational. We make decisions based on a feeling and we just justify with facts. That's why if you meet that lady who has this beast for her husband, you know, sura inakaa tu ni kama aliogea ndimu, you know, things just, you know, then you ask her, how come you got married to this guy? You will hear her say, he is a kind man. He understands me. He listens to me. And those are the emotions that I'm saying that the bigger root causes of decision making. Where am I going? So 2021 roadmap. I want us to then understand, this is just my own thing, you know, my own assessment. And I think if we're to move through 2021, I'll talk about this, then I will quickly talk about self-awareness. I think for us to go through 2021, we must understand leverage. No man will play big by themselves. No one will go far by themselves. You won't be alone. There are billionaires like Bill Gates, but those are one-offs. In fact, they say they're 1% of the TV or whatever. If a person has to go places, you cannot have all the skills, you cannot have everything you need. You must leverage on someone else. And because of that, then it pushes me to the second cycle here, which I'm calling relationships. That we must rethink how we deal with relationships or the people God brings our way, because you just never know when you will activate. Think the best relationship that comes to mind is how do we even deal with house girls, for example. How do you, because you know, sometimes you assume the house girl will be a house girl forever. But we have had testimonies where someone was a house girl, but God makes them a gatekeeper in a certain space or in a certain province. And because of that, you must then understand that relationships will be key. But more so, it's not to enter into relationship because you want to only harness, but building relationships that are genuine and nice. And largely, then what I'll be talking about is the self-awareness angle. That this is then, if you understand yourself, then you build leverage, understanding that you can't be big alone. You need to build ecosystems that, or understand ecosystems that your skill can find expression, or you need to know the people who have what you want that will take you to where you're going, then that will help. And then the relationships around that, and then self-awareness, then that will build the future for 2021. That's what I'm talking about. When Matthew met your girl, I'm using you as an example. You're the owner of this platform anyway. I can't use any other. I might not be forgiven. When you met her the first time,
go ahead.
Do you remember how you felt when you saw her the first time? You know, you looked at her and she could not do wrong. She was perfect. You called her an angel, even though in the Bible there are no angels with ladies' names. You called her Miss Perfect. When I talk to you, I feel nice. When you called her, you would say, where Carter Sim? And then she like, where Carter? Where Carter? You know, she was perfect. That moment is what we call glee. That you are in a moment of glee. You are feeling beautiful. When you talk to her, you can sleep soundly. That's when men say, when I don't talk to you, I don't feel okay. You know, we outsource our level of joy to someone else's answering our call. If they don't answer your call, you start panicking, you know, things like that. But that moment, the feeling you see when you see that person is what they call glee. But after some time, you notice that her hair doesn't make itself, you know, that if you say you have a beautiful hair, you must also be contributing towards the beauty of the hair. I don't know about you, but in Kibera, there's a place I went and we were shaved with Ken Muse. I know you know Ken Muse. We were shaved for 30 shillings. Of course, at that time, you get shaved, then they slap you with some very painful, very painful spirit. You live there with a headache. But for men, pay the vignos you can pay even 20 shillings, 30, and you get shaved. But the ladies' hair, you will hear Vera Sidika saying, my wig is $500,000. I mean, it's a Vitz. It's the price of a Vitz. But the point is, for you to say you have beautiful hair, your nails look good, you must contribute. You discover there's a fee to pay. There's a fee you got to pay for her to continue saying she look beautiful. I like your shoes. You must then ask you, utaninulia tu kama hizi. There's a fee to pay. So that green line here, blue, or is it blue or green? It's the line of awesomeness. So anything above this line is awesome. Anything below it is not. But after some time, so you start counting the fee. And actually, when you talk about relationship and self-awareness, we say you marry someone that you size up and say, I have seen their weaknesses and I can put up with that weakness for the rest of my life. Most times it's not the positives, the glee that you make decision with, especially for a marriage partner. It is the fee that you're willing to pay that you use. If the fee outweighs the glee, it all turns about me. And I know, Matthew, you've counseled people in marriage. When you see two people you're counseling and everyone is saying, me, I don't like, me, I just know there's a chance they will not reconcile. They have reached the me stage. It's a very selfish point. Why? You need to understand that if the fee outweighs the glee, it most turns about me. Me. Instead of saying we, teamwork, instead of saying you say me. But then what happens? If me is not attended to, that's where you hear people saying, you have my number. When you need me, call me. But for now, sorry, I'm gone. Then we go to flee. If you don't attend to the me, they flee. The question I would ask, and I would come out to be very candid with me, and I know you're a pastor. Have you ever had issues with your madam that you looked at it and asked me, and why did I get myself into this? The answer is yes or no.
Many times.
Okay, good. But are you still married?
Oh, we just 10 years, 3 days ago.
Exactly my point. I like that.
So.
I'm asking that because I know that is also what is happening. If we don't flee most times, because we're able to see the potential through we. And that is the collaborative model that I'm calling the partnership model. And in the earlier slide, I talked about leveraging. But you need to look at 2021 and look at what are the lessons you picked today in 2020 that you will use in 2021. A scripture of the Bible comes into mind where the Bible says, even the comfort you have received is not yours. It is for you to give to them who are in need. That God gives you something and it's never really yours. I am yet to see anyone who was comfortable, who was greatly used of God, Matthew. I look at a guy like even Abraham, of all the people. Abraham got dowry on his own wife because he was in trouble. And one of the things he said is, if I say you are my wife, I will be killed. So he lied to the king and they took, in fact, the king guys looked at how the wife and said, this is too beautiful for our league. In league ya Pharaoh, where they took to Pharaoh. Pharaoh paid dowry because of Abraham's fear. And then when Pharaoh wanted now to legally get Sarah, God intervened. But what happens, in fact, immediately the Bible says that Abraham had cattle, silver, and gold. But you're like, hey, where did you get this from? But the leveraging I'm talking about is just that understanding that if we don't leverage, if we don't build relationships, and if we don't self-aware, if we don't understand ourselves, then 2021 may not have much on us. But the question is not in us going into 2021 to get, but largely in us going into 2021 to give. So I'll talk a little bit about self-awareness using the MBTI model. At level 1 of understanding yourself, you need to understand how you spend your energy. How you spend your energy. And that's where we get to the level 1, we call them introverts, and we get the extroverts. Introverts love to spend their energies internally. In the COVID context, introverts have been thriving. In the COVID context, people being told, stay at home, social distance, lock yourself at home. Introverts have been thriving. One of the introverts in the world is my wife. She's been having a good time. The other day I asked her, how has your year been? How do you get the year? Then she says, I feel married for the first time. And you, Matthew, either I'm doing something right or I'm just too available. But the point is, as an introvert, she's been thriving. As an extrovert, I have been dying. In fact, there's a day I told her, if I continue staying in this house, I will burn something. Like something is going to burn. The introvert wants to spend time by themselves. Their energy is internal. They are mostly very quiet, and they have 1 or 2 confidants who they talk to every so often. You are an introvert if when you go to a wedding, you sit next to your friend and you just keep chatting quietly as the world is going on. When people laugh, you raise your head and ask, why are people laughing? Well, then you laugh late and then you continue in your own just discussion. You are a confirmed introvert. You are an extrovert when you meet people you do not even know and you are greeting them like you are born in the same village. How are you? Good to see you, bro. People ask you, is that your brother? Like, I have no idea where that guy comes from. You are a confirmed extrovert. If you're the kind of person who does not struggle getting parking in town because you greet security guards like they belong to your village, chances are you are an extrovert. Extroverts spend their energies externally. Introverts spend their energies internally. And that's the first level you need to have of self-awareness. You need to know how you spend your energies. At this point, it will be important for me to say that most times opposites attract. There's a chance that this could be the first level at which you have a spouse attracted to you, because opposites attract. But then you need to understand that for empty spaces, for extroverts, they are supposed to be filled. For empty spaces for introverts, they are cherished, they are protected, they are supposed to be guarded jealously. But for introverts, it is filled. Introverts have too few relationships, but they are deep relationships. Extroverts have very shallow relationships, but they are wide. They know everyone, they can talk to everyone. Let me give an example. For an extrovert, even if you greet them once in 10 years, when you ask them, do you know Matthew? They say, yes, he's my friend. We met in campus in 2002 and we talked only once. And that's an extrovert speaking, because to them, that is already a link to activate a friendship. For introverts, even if they talk to you every day, unless they admit you into their list of friends, you are not their friend. And that's the first level of self-awareness that you need to know. How do you spend your energy? The question then is, you recharge your battery if you're an introvert by being alone, and as an extrovert by talking to someone. As a matter of fact, the form of resting for an extrovert is to talk to someone. If you meet me in town and I'm telling you I'm going to rest, then you hear I was at a party, just know actually I rested, because I'm a confirmed extrovert. But an introvert, for them to rest, they close the world out, they lock their phone, and they just, why? Because they spend, experts, especially most of us, likes on Facebook. We post something and we want people to like it. Why? Because that's what energizes us. Our motivation and what really energizes is external, so to say. Why am I saying this? That this is the first level, that then you need to understand yourself. This time to speak to one, what skill sets do you want to build moving forward? remember, at the level of awareness I'm speaking about, it's not about necessarily about cast into stone concrete skill set, but it's largely about things that are you're predisposed to, that come to you easily. However, you can learn the skill sets of, think of it this way, introverts can still do customer care work, so to say, but they will use more energy than some of us. Will be trained on what you call customer care skills. Why? Because they don't have them. They don't, so they will be trained. So they can be genuinely trained and be skilled. That means essentially that it is a job they might do, but they will not be doing it because it comes easy to them, but they'll be doing it because they have been trained in that sense. So it doesn't mean you can't do anything. It just means use more energy. For example, an introvert can be an MC, but they will use more energy to be an MC as opposed to an extrovert who can be an MC naturally. The second self-awareness that I want us to listen to or talk about is then, how do we process information? How do we process information? So you have an extrovert who processes information, who processes information a certain way, and you have an introvert who processes information a certain way. So there are two ways to process information. The first one, you have those who use their sensing. Maybe for those who are writing or who are writing something, if you're an introvert, just write an I. If you're an extrovert, write an E, so that then we will float together. The second level I'm mentioning is that, how do you process information? You have those who process using their senses, and then you have those who process information using their intuitions. There are those who it has to make sense for them to be boarded. And you will hear them say, most doesn't make sense. If you hear someone who keeps using that word, that doesn't make sense, it's not making sense to me, chances are they process the information using their senses, their six senses. They will smell, see, hear things that the people around them are not even seeing. You've had these people who say, let's go to that meeting. And then you say, hey, this area is very beautiful. Then they say, no, there's some funny smell coming from. And you're wondering, why are you smelling things? Yet the general aura, the general ambience is good. Chances are they process their information using their sensing lenses, so to say. Their senses, sorry. They process information using their senses, while the other guys are using their intuition. Maybe the best example I can give is of those who process information using their senses are the people who, when you talk to them, they will write everything. They will ask you to repeat again. They will say, come again, what are you saying? Then you have these other people who nod and say, before you even finish what you're saying, they're like, I've understood what you're saying. There's a high chance that that person processes using their intuition. And think of it this way, that those who use senses will see, how do I put it? I think I'll come back to it. But those who use intuition, let's think about as the people who see the big picture, who see the end game. So in a project, for example, you have people, you say, maybe we're going to do this SGR project. Those who process using intuition are looking for meaning and happiness and what will come out of it. So they're like, there will be ease of transport. People will be happy. They will be rejoicing even before the railway has been built. But then those who process using their senses, they're like, yes, you have said, but what's the budget? When are we starting? What are the timelines? Then you know those are the kind of guys who process their senses. I'll go to the next level. So if you use your senses, or if you feel you use their senses, write an S after your E or I. If you use your intuition, write an N, because I has been used in the introvert part up there. Next level is then, how do we make decisions? In the level of self-awareness, you need to understand how you make your own decisions. And one is, there are people who make decisions largely filtering the decision through their head. And there are those who filter largely their decisions using their heart. In the world, most Christians make their decisions largely using their heart. And of course, it is okay. Compassion and all that, compassion and all that has come into you and all that. But one of the things the Bible says is, love the Lord your God with your mind, with the whole of your heart. So there's need for us to grow what we call our art of preference, so that we also use our head. We don't check out our brains when we are making decisions. But this is the thing. Think of it this way, of people who go to, when you meet a street child or a street kid, and in your heart, you're like, they are begging for food, and you're like, let me give to them food. Even if they are lying, God has seen my heart. If you tend to think that way, there's a chance your decision making, you make it using feelings, what you call your heart, and not necessarily, not that you don't use your head, you just insubordinate your head most time when you're making decisions. There's this other group of people in the street kids, they're like, you never know nani ni mkora, or some of these guys are very, wakora. You do not know who is genuine and who is not. If you think that way, there's a high chance that your decision making is largely filtered using your head. But I'll use different examples. And also maybe at the end of it, I will share the links that people can do the test by themselves. There are 2 tests that I would like guys to do just by yourselves for a better level of self-awareness. Because my examples could be limiting because I'm rushing towards the end. Then the last bit of self-awareness. So if you think you make decisions using your heart largely, after your EN or IN or IS, just write an F. If you feel you use more of your head, write a T, which you call, that's feeling and thinking. But the last level of self-awareness using this model is how do you then interact with the world out there? And the assumption is you use 2 lenses. One, you either use the judging lenses or you use the prospective lenses. And I'll give an example. Have you visited these guys? And I think, Matthew, you remember going maybe to J or E, and you visit a sister's room and you actually feel like you're walking on eggshells. Everything is neat, spoons have been well arranged, or even brothers. Some brothers, you go into their room and you're wondering, are we in the same campus? Yeah, their pillow and their, is matching. Slippers have been kept on the right place. Then you go to another brother's room and the sufuria is on top of a shoe, and and they don't seem to be bothered in that sense. So there are those who interact with the world using judging lenses, who first of all, and think of it this way, it's not that they are judgmental, it's just that as they look at the world, everyone is guilty. They need to earn their space in your life. Yeah, so you come with a protected gear. Like, if you're to be my friend, I must vet you before I allow you to be my friend. Then those who use prospective lenses, everyone is an angel. They just become bad sometimes. Now, for those of you who will take the actual test, this last bit of self-awareness, this last category that I'm mentioning, is mostly the only category that changes. And you find that they were very good people, then they, a Christian borrowed money from you and they didn't pay. So all of a sudden, you start treating everyone as a suspect. So you've changed from being prospective to being judging in that sense. So it's not judgment, it's just that you are more taking a different posture as you interact with the world. You become protective. Or you used to go to Uhuru Park and sit down and enjoy your meal. Then one day, the chokoras wakakunyang'anya viatu. So from that day on, you start being a little careful as you interact with the world. You see, you walk suspiciously around people. So that's the part that changes. So there are those who use the judging lenses, and you can write a J, is in a project engagement, for example, they first of all see the things that will not work. You're coming up with a house and you want to build in Kisaju, and the first thing people who use judging lenses are saying is there's no water, there is no, but those who build prospective, who use prospective lenses are the guys who say, the material is not enough, but let us start. Just start, the material will. Remember where Jesus tells these blind guys, you go show yourself, the lepers, go show yourself to the priest. Then they went, they were made whole. So that posture of going fast before you are made whole, or before you experience healing, is purely prospective in that sense. But then those who would argue and say, but I'm not whole, what am I going to show? Could be that they're using the judging lenses. So if you're using the judging, they use a J. If you're using prospective, use a P. Let me quickly move forward. I will share with you. Now, in the area of self-awareness, from a marketing standpoint, we become self-aware in different spaces. When you are in high school, you are a different person. We asked you, what do you want to become? I remember when I was in Form 1, I wanted to become a driver. And this is the thing. In my village, I had never seen a 36-wheeler truck. So the day I saw one, I thought this thing must be having 36 steering wheels and all that. And I was like, being the driver of this thing, you must be the guy who has, you know, all everything. Then in Form 1, I wanted to become, when I joined Form 1, I said, I want to become a neurosurgeon. Clearly, you guys know I am not. When I was in Form 2, I wanted to become a doctor. You guys know I'm not a doctor, unless Nimitishamba too. If you need Mugombera or what, I think I know a few kambas who are selling in my neighborhood. But I am not a doctor. When I was in Form 3, I had joined the debating club and I knew I'll be a lawyer. When I was in Form 4, I was like, dear Lord, this is your servant. Do with him whatsoever you will. Because I didn't know what really I wanted. In fact, I was shocked that I was called to campus. I knew my Form 4 results were in August after they had come out in February, because I had school fees balance and you could not, things were not digital then, you couldn't know, you know, things like that. But my identity has changed. There's a day I was a development finance officer with Faulu, Kenya. Yeah, there's a time I was a teacher at Fred's school. There was a time I was hawking shoes in Embakasi in 2002 before I went to campus. There's a time, if you ask me what is your purpose in life at that time, I was going to tell you God will lead me to open, you know, supermarkets and sell shoes. You know, if you ask me in campus what I wanted to become, I knew I'll be a teacher, but I didn't know what kind of teacher. You know, things like that. So our identity and how we market ourselves, we change. You go and acquire a skill, then you start telling us you're also a motivational speaker or something, because before that training, it hadn't triggered a certain, you know, niche or a certain thing in you. So over time, our marketing of what we are called to do keeps changing. Our identity as well keeps changing. Today, I have shaved, apparently my wife told me this is called recross. You know, I have never had this sideburns for a long time. But the times I shave my head bald, and also my identity, I'm not saying, this is my casual identity, so to say. But most times I really have long hair and stuff like that. Marketing keeps changing. Think of it this way. There is a promotion for Christmas. Then there will be promotion for Easter. So marketing is up at that time. In January, it is school fees. So the marketing bit of the identity of things will be like that. But the actual identity of things rarely changes. If it's biscuit, it's biscuit. If you're a man, you're a man. If you're a teacher, chances are your teaching elements will keep following you. You become a CEO, but when you're debriefing your forecasting your projection, the teacher in you keeps popping up. You know, you are in a banker, but you know, when we're doing customer education, you enjoy, because the identity at that point doesn't change much. But as you're self-aware, there's a promise that God has placed in you. There's a DNA. That's why usually there are 4 questions they say, actually 3, where they say, who am I? Where am I here? Where am I going? And stuff like that. That promise, brand promise on you, the purposes of God rarely change. And God only uses circumstances to keep pushing you towards your brand promise, so to say. That when you are aware about that purpose, you can be in a wrong job, for example, but you know, I'm here in my station going to where I want to go. So you've heard people saying, I'm punching at 10% according to how much I'm being paid. But you see, those ones are missing out on God's purpose. In fact, Bible inasema, whatsoever your hands find to do it like unto the Lord. That means whatever station you are at, you never know who is watching, if not God, that God expects you to punch at 100%. Because the promise, you never know who is watching you at that point, who will then help you activate something. And I'll be touching a little bit about that as we go. Matthew, you need to tell me how much time I still have. Now, in walking towards 2021, a major attitude adjustment needs to happen if it has not happened. I have been thinking about my life over these last several months. I want to thank God for my wife. I mean, I have a good wife. If I had not been good to her, perhaps she would have chased me away from Nairobi, because my contribution was not much. to the bills on the table. However, one of the things I decided to do is to be useful as I stay indoors, obeying COVID protocols. That I cannot be staying at home. She is cleaning, and I'm reading a newspaper with my feet on the table. That I needed to show her that we are a team. As you clean the house, let me be washing the dishes. And it doesn't change me. I usually tell her, at least don't announce to the world that I'm washing dishes. My Luya people might not forgive me. But as we work as a team, let me be that man who supports you, because you're not a donkey in this home. You are my wife. If I also take care of you during the day, there is a high chance you'll take care of me during the night. And because of that, heavy attitude adjustment will need to happen, where you no longer just see things for what they are. Give yourself to work. Look at even the nature of work. Where we had scenarios where there are people who at work would leverage on how frequent their boss saw them. But right now, your boss is looking at your work through dashboards, and the indicators are totally different. The future of work, there are people who are saying, government people who used to travel from Nairobi to go to Mombasa and discuss things that would have been discussed on an email. Those realities are logging in. Now people are doing meetings on WhatsApp. A larger bit of looking at 2021 is an attitude adjustment, where you start taking opportunities and being nice. How many times, Matthew, have you seen people at work who are hired in customer care, then they are told, you need to prep up, we will train you to be a project manager? Why? Because then they look at their teachability and they're like, you're punching at your lower, you need to upgrade or something like that. This guy came to serve customer service, but he's being told, you have a skill set, you understand our customer base, we can train you because you're teachable. So the attitude bit needs to be understood, that women want to have an attitude adjustment as we look at 2021. One of the things that COVID has helped us understand is that I used to tell my wife, we buy unnecessary stuff sometimes. You know, the way you feel, you just don't feel like cooking. And because of that, you buy pizza because, okay, I know there are pizza sellers in the forum, but you buy pizza because there's an offer. Get two for the price of one. Yet you have meat and chapati that you can actually make and it tastes better than that pizza. And yet you have all those ingredients at home, you can do it. As you cook together, you're bonding, your madam is able to open up and debrief, while, you know, at eating pizza, there's even a style to how you eat pizza. Apparently, you can't eat, you know, things like that. So you miss out on opportunity on bonding because your outlook to life has taken a certain shape. And especially in a world where we've had competition. Oh, Matthew has bought this type of car, I must also buy this kind of car. Oh, Matthew is living in Runda. I should give you a story. Matthew, there's a day I used to live in a place called near Imara Daima. It was not Imara Daima, but I used to tell people I live in Imara Daima. Why? It sounds better. You know, the other place is very close to Mukuru Kwanjenga. If you came and you want to give a testimony and there's someone from Imara Daima and another one from Mukuru Kwanjenga, the one from Mukuru Kwanjenga looks like they are going to sing first before the testimony comes out, right? You know, why? Because then the name, it doesn't, you know, suggest that God is doing much, you know, in that sense. Yeah. But the point is that understanding that even in Mukuru, God is moving in a bigger way, and God could just be directing you to that if you only punch at your 100 at whatever station you find yourself. That means you will not say, I can't do that. We will need to fold our sleeves, embrace opportunities that we have neglected over time. Competition that has been unnecessary, you know, living. I was asking my wife the other day, if we went and lived in an SQ, how would you feel? She was like, I'll be happy. I'm like, maybe I need to say this so that for background information. I think I married up. And so when my wife says she knows poverty, her understanding of poverty is we eat meat 4 days in a week and not 7. My understanding of poverty is you eat cabbage 7 days in a week and without fail. You get. So, but the point is that the fact that I heard her say, I'm okay, wherever you go, I will go, I was happy. But that's the better attitude. Then I know that I can abase and I can abound and I will still have this girl, so to say. But the point is attitude adjustment facing 20, whatever area or sphere of influence. You will not refuse a job because it's paying low, yet it's going to build a skill that high paying job is requiring and you do not have it. You will not say, I can't do it because I'm already a degree holder, yet you need to go. Think of, even in terms of understanding yourself on what you're bringing on the table. If it's a startup, just asking people and say, hey, can I have even 2% of shareholding? So that long after you have left that job, you still can earn some little thing. Just adjusting your lenses of your attitude towards what is called work in that sense. Let me quickly learn. Then loyalty. As we move to 2021, we're going to need to build bridges of loyalty. It's very hard to find people who are loyal to a cause. And I know this because of how we resign from jobs. When people resign, but they burn bridges until you ask, and you mean that place of work never served you in any way for anything positive that you get? Then you go to a new company and then they hire your boss as the new MD or something like that. And there is where hell breaks loose afresh. But point is building loyalty to the things that are important to us. And I say this in the context that COVID has redefined what is important to us. Family, a place to rest, a place of peace, the place of work, how we look at work and all that. But building loyalty in those spaces is going to be key, especially to the people who have something that you need for that next level in that sense. Then have fun 2021. Laugh at your mistakes, laugh at your jokes, laugh at things that don't even make sense. There are times, we live in an era where instead of laughing, you send an emoji. You send, just laugh, the correct one, the one that exercises your lungs. Just laugh. Enjoy your days in 2021. Okay, sorry. Good. Matthew, have you ever gone to a kinyozi where you were shaved and these ladies massaged your head?
Actually, they look familiar.
Earlier on, I said, when you go to a kinyozi, consider shaving price to be about 20 bob. Like the cost of shaving is 20 shillings. Ikienda sana maybe 50. Depending on where you are shaving. There's Runda, then there's the other places. In fact, someone was telling me, ukiruka inaitwaje Tomboya Street, ukuja huku ni Eastland, alafu ukivuka Moi Avenue, the other side is up market or something like that. When you go to these guys, I went to somewhere in Signature Mall where after they shaved me, when they were washing me on that hand wash basin, the table I was sleeping on was rattling and massaging my back. I had a good time. I think after I must have paid about 500 shillings for the haircut, and I tipped everyone after I was leaving. Like I felt so nice, and I was tipping everyone, even the gate man out there, because I was feeling so nice. But the point is this, that when instead of paying 50 and you pay 500, someone must have exceeded the expectation. That you went for a mere haircut, but they massaged you. In fact, there's a place we went, I need to say this, went with my wife, and there was an old man, really old. I think he was about 70 thereabouts, really old. But his shirt had been taken off and they were massaging him on the back. And my wife asked me, you mean these are the things you guys do here? Which things? The root hairs, you didn't know that the roots of hairs go from Gongo. Let that old man be massaged. Then I told her, if this old man goes home, alafa gombezo and a wife, his hair will grow instantly. Tomorrow he will be on that very seat. But my point is this, that when these guys exceed your expectation, then that is the whole essence of you having served well. For whatever station you find yourself, exceed the expectation of the people who gave you that assignment. In 2021, Why did I mention about looking at understanding self and then looking at 2021? If you are a structured person, 2020 has taught us that we need to be fluid. We need to take a position of knowing that things can change. You can have a job today and tomorrow you do not have. That question should answer what are your priorities in life. It is possible that your rush to buy land in Kisaju is the blind spot for you not going back to school to build skill set for who you're supposed to be. It could be you're just doing it because everyone, after all, everyone is buying. Kila mtu anamwaga mchanga. You know, kila mtu ananua kakitu. Your blind spot of saying, I also need to drive that BMW could be the blinding factor that you may be overlooking that is supposed to kick you to that PhD scholarship in whether it's a Scandinavian country or UK and all that. That when you understand yourself, then you will know how much water you carry. But more importantly, you will know what other people around you are not merely wanting to drive you up the wall, but they are wired differently in that sense. Those of you who are writing letters from the self-awareness assessment, there is an ENFP. Maybe I could check through the chat and see what color letter codes you mentioned. I'll touch on 2 and then we'll call it a day. I think I have about 7 minutes and thereabout. I could, how do I unshare?
Okay, just the same place for sharing. There's a red button saying stop sharing.
Okay. Okay, do you want? Good.
Okay.
Yes, maybe I could go to the chat and just see if you have the 4-letter codes. So you're either INFP or ENFP. I'll just touch on 2 and point people in that direction so that finally when I share the link for the self-awareness, but then also I'll invite questions and maybe Matthew will guide me what needs to happen. Okay, I'm looking for Matthew. Did you have any? Are you an extrovert? Maybe I should use you as a guinea. It's called guinea pig. Are you an extrovert or an introvert? Let's start from there.
Let's use Modia as the guinea pig for tonight. But I don't know. I think I'm in between the two.
You're in between the two. I suspect you're an introvert. I suspect, but I know you're a preacher. I know you're a preacher, but I think you're an introvert. Do you think
you're very right by there? I'm not an extrovert.
Yeah. Are you structured or not structured? When
niko saidia mitaratara sana kuliko kuikosa.
So you are an I, then you have an S. Then do you use your heart more or your head more? Okay, maybe the question is, have people ever borrowed money from you? And then after they borrowed is when you realize they will not pay
you. Not anymore. I rarely get conned that way.
Yeah, I also wanted to tell you, because of even the workstation you do, you are more of a T than an F. But we will share the link so that you do the actual test and we see where you are. And then I know you are a P and not a J, but life could have served you lemons and you became a J. So your 4-letter coding is an ISTP. ISTP, that's an introvert who is structured, who uses his head more than his heart, and is prospective. You look for good in people, because I know you're a preacher. You look for good in people. You work hard to see the good in people. However, I know your kind of job has had to turn like dying to self so that you serve your worker, your boss. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah, that their position. Yeah. So then if we are talking about you being an introvert, it means if someone bought you a book that you in an area of interest, you will be very happy. If the book is a gift for you, your birthday, you will be one happy person. But if someone bought me a book just from the random, they will have missed the get. I'm not, unless you know I've asked for that book. If you bought me a book for my birthday, you missed the get. Take me for lunch, take me for a movie, then you're speaking in my compound. But for you being an introvert, a good book in an area of your interest, you will be very happy. In fact, you will say someone has thought about it, and that places a premium on it. Then you are structured in that sense. It means for you, order is important. We cannot do article or agenda number 3 without dealing with number 1. Let us finish number 1. Then we go to agenda number 2. Then we go to agenda number 3. Why are we talking about agenda number 4 and we're not talking about agenda number 3? And for now, for me, who is not an introvert, who again is not structured, for me, bora mkutano ilikuwa successful, whichever order is okay. As long as no one died, why are we panicking?
Can we hear the speaker?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
fine. I'm
Yeah,
the
so
one
I'm
who
saying,
is out here. Okay, fine. Go ahead.
for me, if as long as no one has died, we are okay with whichever order. In fact, before the meeting starts, we can talk for 15 minutes before we start the meeting, or talk for 20 minutes. Then we just talk, brush through the issues for 15 minutes as the last minute, and then we had a successful meeting. Why? Because I'm not as structured. For me, the end justifies the means. For you, the means, the credibility of the means is as important. And I'll give this as an example. For you, if you are to supervise people, you are likely to micromanage them. And unknowingly so. Why? Because process is important for you, not just results. If I am to manage people, I will tell them, let's meet on the finishing line. But if I have a boss like you who is micromanaging, I'll think my boss is bad. Yet you are the best placed person to grow my out of preference for me to be the best version of myself. I don't know if I'm making sense. So I'm using this as an example just to unpack the level of self-awareness. That when you understand that God sends you, you know, the way people say, I want to get married to someone who is like me, wrong. There's always an opportunity in someone who does not see things the way you are. Nowadays, when my wife and I are not agreeing on something, and I know clearly maybe she's right, or I'm right and she's wrong, all we do is we say, I didn't know, I never looked at it that way. What I'm saying at that point is I'm affirming what she is saying, but at the same time, I'm allowing myself to die to myself to understand where she's coming from. Because most times, huwa tunakosana na vitu zenye, they are in her world, she's okay, in my world, I'm okay. Yet we are not seeing eye to eye sometimes on those issues. So what do? You die to yourself. My wife is as structured as anyone can be, like as structured as, she knows what we'll eat for Christmas. I usually tell for 2021, she knows because she plans that. For me, bora Mungu atatupiga torch. Mungu atatulinda. Tomorrow is not in our hands, but it's in the hands of God. But for her, her favorite scriptures are the preparation of the heart is of man, but the answer comes from God. Her, the word preparation is important. For me, it's the answer from God that is important in the same scripture. So what I'm saying is then that in that difference, I'm able to be flipped in my blind spot, and I need people who are opposite me for me to function at my optimum. And in that sense, when I understand myself that way, then I will know the greatest resources I need. People who can tell me no, people who can say, but we didn't plan for that, we didn't budget for that. I will need a Matthew type so that I can even build my company to the next level. Is there any questions? I have 1 minute, I think.
Okay, thank you very much, Juma. I can see claps already coming. Thank you, guys. Wow, what do you think? Hey, Juma, I didn't know that side of you. That was powerful. I think I've learned a lot personally. So guys, keep your questions coming. We will be ending shortly. Here, Nikali, I can see that was awesome. I can see your reactions. Yeah. Please ask your question. Please make your comments there. I think that was profound and deep, I must say. And I don't know what you are expecting. Were your expectations met, or have they been actually, you know, like mine? I don't know. I mean, they have been, you know, thrown out of the window, and you've given me more than I even ever thought about. Let me laugh alone. I can see people are laughing alone. Then one of the best team coach, team building coaches I have known on this continent. Go Bokoki. Bokoki Duncan. Thank you very much. Yeah, keep the comments coming. I will also allow anybody with a question, if you want to put up your hand and ask. And yeah, you know, I was wondering, Juma has really been studying me for this session, because you are analyzing me as if you know exactly what I do. And especially talking of my job. You know, he knows, of course, the job I do. And it's very interesting. By the you guys, you don't know what I do. If you find me working during the day, you will wonder whether it's still me who is here at night. Maybe that's why I really enjoy doing this at night, because I do the complete opposite of me during the day. Yeah, so thank you. Is there hope for the unstructured amongst us? Where is the link? Yes, John Gitonga is asking. I think basically what he is first confessing is that he's your type. Nyinyi mutasaidiwa namna gani? Yes, Juma, unmute and tell us, is there hope for the unstructured amongst us? And by the way, talking of unstructured, you know, the way you have said that, you know, the things have to be arranged in a certain way. I tell you, I had quite a bit of a struggle with my wife until I gave up. And on this toothpaste, she presses all over. I press in another way.
Yeah,
until I gave up.
And I say this respectfully. I was somewhere where someone said, God prepared Kibaki for presidency, and he gave him Lucy, Tafakari Abab. But this is the thing. Personality and self-awareness is when you understand yourself, it is largely for you then to understand others and not necessarily to castigate them. You've heard of people saying, Mimi, shidangu ni hivi, I do like this. Those are the kind of people, if you hear anyone say, me, I do things this way, just wait for them. They are going to be punished very soon. Because things, God always gives people who are unlike you to help you see your blind spots. Now, there's no personality that is stronger than others. I need to say this, John, who has asked about the unstructured. I am as unstructured as they come. But God gave me a wife who I usually tell her, for me, if I came home and my children have fed and they are happy, whether the house is upside down, the dishes were washed or not, that would be a non-issue. But I know of people who fire house helps because the bed, the seat was not angle 45 to the wall, because there was a cup on the, on the seat. Yet then God blesses them with a child who is all over the place, who is opposite to them. The unstructuredness has to be that then your learning point is there are scenarios that you must look structured, and God will help you know which ones. I'll give an example. When people who are unstructured will struggle with timekeeping. They are disposed to time. Time for them is a suggestion. If you tell them, let's meet on Tuesday, it is on Tuesday that they are likely to call you and ask you, when are we meeting? And at what time did you say? But the structured ones will say, when are we meeting, for how long, at what point, things like that. The unstructured people like me, if we go to a party and the party is supposed to end at 10, there's a chance that it's at 10 that actually the party is starting. Because it's the beauty of the party that we want to sit in. So it's not about lack of hope for the unstructured. It is you understanding yourself that you are unstructured, but also knowing opportunities where your structured nature, which is growing your out of preference, needs to kick in. And one of the things is, for example, you've heard of people say, I'm an afternoon person. Yeah? After lunch is when my eyes pop up and I'm more productive. Or you've heard of people saying, I'm nocturnal, I am more activated at night. But the question is, when does school start? Your primary school. It starts at 7 in the morning. So do we tell them teachers to come for you who is good at night to teach you at night? So you learn to grow your out of preference and learn structure for areas that, but also there's beauty in unstructuredness. There's a lot of beauty in being unstructured. And you just need to know when the unstructuredness is functioning and when it is not. Now, most unstructured people are called lazy. They never serious with life. I remember, I need to say this, my wife, I don't know, I've mentioned her too many times. She called off our engagement, I think 4 times, because she said I was not serious, you know, just, and you know, I don't know whether I'll ever be serious then, because for me, I see humor anywhere. I can laugh at anything. Anything that people are supposed to laugh, chances are I will have laughed already. Like I enjoy life and it's not anything wrong to do. So the unstructuredness, but the unstructuredness has randomness. Like I would come home from a night shift, maybe at 1 a.m. and I'm like, hey, there's a movie in town, CBD, and it's half price. Let's go. So, and she started enjoying those things. So she sees life from that other angle. So there's beauty in the unstructured nature. But at the same time, there are spaces where now structure needs to be in place in that sense. So then also think of it this way. If you're unstructured and you're supervising Mujengo, hiyo nyumba haitaisha. So you need to get a structured person who is able to deal with timelines in a better way. I don't know if I'm making sense. Yeah. There's a man, Anne Muchai is saying, I have not loved so much for a while. Thank you. I don't know what I said that. Yeah.
I think the last time she laughed like that was maybe when was that? There's a time you abducted a session here and gave us after, was it, I can't even remember who was speaking, and then after that we had some kind of an adult talk which went for a whole 1 hour. Maybe that's the last time that Anne laughed like this. So Anne, Lucy, I can see your hand is up. So please, yeah, so for those ones who had forgotten, this is the Juma of that night. It's several months back. He is here. So for those ones who want to do the after the session, he is very good at it. Yes, Lucy, go ahead. Just unmute yourself.
Oh, hi, Matthew. It's been
Hi.
long. It's been long. I started classes, so I've not been attending meetings, but this one I really enjoyed. Thank you for
Oh,
inviting.
this is Modoni.
Yeah, it's Modoni.
Oh, okay. You know you are. It's just Lucy on the dark screen. I can't tell, but I can hear your voice. Yes, go ahead.
So I'm really happy with the session. And one question to Juma. Now that we're in this era of Generation Z, where a lot of immorality is in, especially in the youths and also pre-youths, pre-18, there's a lot of immorality, rise of secular music, which is gengeton. So my question is, in between this era, because 80% of youths are now engaged in this immorality, and these 10% are the remnants of restoration, the few that are not involved. So how can we, in terms of self-awareness, how can the few of us be, how can I put it? The few of us, tunawezaje remain being moral until maybe ukifika around 25, where most of our minds will be more mature. And also in this same era, people like motivational speakers, they are very, very few. So yeah, the few of us, how can we maintain the self-awareness? Yeah, that's my question.
Thank you. And well, I'm not even sure I've understood the question, but I will answer it. So I don't know whether if the answer answers the question, that would be a nice coincidence. First of all, I've shared the link on the chat, but that link has many tests. It even has Black Lives Matter test. It has so good. There's one called the Young test. JUNG is the one that I was talking about, the model I was using. So you can do it, and then it has the graphics and whatever representation of who you are. If you need to pick any conversation with me after that, that'll be fine. I can walk you through and just unpack you in that sense. But the best also I would like you to do is an Enneagram test. On that link, just go to the Enneagram test. It categorizes people into, I think, 9 clusters, pretty much. Then look at what that says. Whatever you agree with or disagree with, then yeah, we can unpack that. My contacts, I think, are available. Matthew can share with you guys. Talking to what Anne was mentioning, one, Kenyans are pretenders. I'm one of them. But when people say, for example, Gengeton is bad music, but then you go online and realize they have 100 million views or 30 million views, what are we saying? Are we not speaking from both sides of our mouths? Immorality is a very gray area in our generation. Those gengetons, maybe just my own perspective, and I don't need to be quoted. They speak about things that they are doing in their generation. And most times it's because parents have refused to listen to them. We're still dictatorial. We're still using very archaic sorts of approaches to even listen to these guys. These guys are processing so much. You know, by the time I had a phone in campus, I think I had sold a kidney or something. But these guys are born into these things. So the exposure levels, there's a time I was sitting with a little baby, I think a 7-year-old, and some music played for the first time. When it repeated, that kid was singing word for word. I still had no idea what that song was about. So I think we must accept the fact that these are things, even in their generation, they are happening. And unless we go into their world in terms of supporting and getting to unpack them, we still miss a generation. In fact, if you're in 40, if you're getting into 40, the window for you impacting your generation is closing so fast. You know, like, okay, let me not pull rabbits, but now to your question, how do we through self-awareness? One, remember those introverts I mentioned. If you know someone is an introvert, you will not get information from them unless you ask. If you know someone is an extrovert, you will, if you don't know what they are thinking, it's because you're not listening. It always comes out of their mouth, what is priority on their mouth. And that self-awareness helps you understand whether you need to go in and ask the right questions. If you want to understand an extrovert even better, ask them the same question 4 times. If the answer is consistent, then it is okay. You remember those, we talked about structured and unstructured. If Matthew tells you the answer is 15, there's a chance answer is 15. For those of us who are unstructured, the answer depends on who we are telling. It can be 15, it can be Uganda. You remember those times walimu walikuwa wanasema, don't discuss tests after the exam. Then you go to the chopi pia umejipanga. Unaambia, what did you get? The guy tells you, my answer was 1.5. Where yako ilikuwa Uganda. The answer was Uganda. So my point is this, that when you understand yourself, then we can build engagement mechanisms. Ask these kids what they want, understand them. But also, let me put it this way. I have cousins, in that generation, yeah? I have people in that generation, and I have interacted with them, and I realized their worldview is not even like ours. Matthew is painting. Their worldview is not like ours. There are some misconceptions. Think about even Matthew, you will know that the workspace, we hire people who will behave in a certain way. And the current workspace is not designed for those guys. They come, they are unstructured, they are late. Yes, of course, we are saying they are a different generation and their productivity indicators are different. However, as things remain now, those guys will not get the opportunities that exist unless they redefine the workspace or unless they build other ecosystems and channels of productivity, or else it's going to be extremely hard because what we call indiscipline for them, it's child's play. You know, it's kawaida. You look at the level of what trends, and it is either orgies or drinking parties and all that. You know, I should say this: when I was in campus, there was a time we went to LT4 for, I think it was Culture Day, and I saw a lady smoking, and it traumatized me when I was in first year. It traumatized me for so long. But nowadays, of course, I tolerate them. I see them around me, and I'm like, yeah, your lung, at least I am aware your nose didn't face upward to remove smoke. But hey, you chose, you know, it's just like eating a burger. If you choose to eat burgers and the other one is eating cabbages, I mean, it's your choice. So I think I'm saying many things, but in the sense of engagement, we badly need to talk to this generation. And I like such platforms as this mentorship forums where, and I quote the Bible, Bible says, I write to you, children, because your sins have been forgiven. I write to you, young men, because you are strong. And then I write to you, old men, because you have known him who is from the beginning. And that's the highest form of level, where now Matthew is able to bring guys who have known him who is from the beginning and say, maybe this is the traction, this is the direction that things are. But I think we can continue with the questions on the sidelines. I'm not just sure. There are things I would have said, but all this is just my opinion. As I think, I have a brother who I don't understand anymore. Yeah, I've told God, you know, like you get what I mean? Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Ajitumi, you know, push pressure. But I'm not saying that to mean I've given up on him. I'm just saying I'm learning to unlearn what I know so that I can understand him and support him better. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, still here. Okay, I have the last few words, but I guess the rest, hopefully, they've had. Yes, I can see you've muted. Thank you very much. I think, hey, Juma, man, wouldn't you make me? By they tell me that you're coming on Saturday. Now that, because that's what I want to make announcements. I'm sure if you say you are coming, then all these people will want to follow you. Will want to be there where you are. Hey, man. you are really okay. Guys, I hope your questions are well handled. Answering questions depending. Come asking you again the questions I've been asking the last several months. I'm suspecting you have been giving the wrong answers, or I will send my wife to ask. Okay. Anyway, the tests, there are so many you can't even finish scrolling through. I don't know that we are supposed to test ourselves with all those. There are too many, but I think it's interesting to go.
There is what do you call it? The model I use is what do you call the Jung test. It's called Young, but JUN. Yeah.
G.
Yeah, the Young test is the MBTI model. There's a simpler version. Let me see if I could share just those who don't want. But the other tests are also important.
Yeah, I've seen even the president's test. I think I want to test myself whether I'm presidential or something.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
I'll still share the other link, the easier one.
Okay, that's in order. That's in order. But yeah, so thank you guys. I think before I allow Juma to make his closing remarks, I hope I've not closed out anyone, and I hope you guys have learned something in the midst of all that laughing and I mean, Juma, you're funny. In the midst of all that, I want to believe that you've learned something. I had seen your wife some time. I don't know that she's still here, and I don't want to announce, but I can't seem to see her unless she renamed herself. But I had seen her at some point. So if you can listen, if you can hear me, Mrs. Juma, You must be laughing every day in your house. Si kama huku kwetu nakuanga serious.
Come say hi.
Yeah. Akuja asalimie watu. Alafu
Yes,
mtuambie ile kuna program nyingine inakuanga ya couples. Mtuambie inakuja lini. Okay.
My name is Rush here. Kimbia ama upigwe.
Kimbia ama upigwe.
Here she is.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too, Matthew. Nice to see everyone. Lovely. At least I know someone, William Kilwake.
Oh, really? That's awesome. Okay, it's good to see you. I mean, we are imagining how you must be laughing throughout, you know, this marriage life.
She doesn't think I'm funny. No.
No, I laugh a lot, Matthew. He keeps me laughing a lot.
That's because I tickle her.
Can only imagine. Anyway, thank you for allowing us to have him tonight, and we really appreciate. In fact, I'm borrowing him on Saturday, so and you as well.
No
so
problem.
that you,
No problem.
you during the day. That will be during the day. I actually want to share about that now. So thank you very much. I want to share what's coming up, and as I began by saying, this is the last of our sessions in the, by the head, I promised to tell you this is number what? Okay, just make it, call it number 80. I can't remember the number. Somebody can remind me. Anne, where were you last? What number is our session tonight? So this is what we have on Saturday. Nature trail, is it trail? I think nature trail, Ololua Forest, Karen. The entrance fee is at the gate. We are not charging you nothing. That's the gate fee for those guys. We want just to come and connect. Some guys demanded, you know, behind the scenes, they were like, no. We have sat for so many months. We keep seeing each other virtually, and we need to meet. And I said, okay, I mean, who am I to say no? If you demand, then you get it. So, and therefore we have organized this. We'll just be having some nice time of just first, of course, you know, getting out of these houses. We've sat and stayed for so long. Number two, also to come and know each other. I'll be very happy to know who are these guys who have Lucy Mudhoni. It looks like I already know you so much, but we've never met. And so many others here. Of course, I've gotten, you know, Millie Ochoki. Millie, it's not for the youth. You know, you have told me several times you are above 40. So this is for all of us. It's for royals, all the royals. So Millie, I think it's like my big sister, and we have never met, but we talked so much. So I would be very, very happy to meet. So that's what will be happening on Saturday. And so in terms of what to prepare with, the entrance fee, transport, snacks for lunch. We are not even organizing for your lunch. We don't want to carry burdens. So come with a snack if you will eat. If you will not, but anyway, what is happening is that once you register, and then we get into a discussion. If the people who register, discuss and agree they want to buy, you know, lunch together or what have you, not a problem. But for now, just entrance fee. That's the only thing we are concerned about. For those ones who can walk from wherever they are to Ololua, for those ones who want to drive or use matatu, whatever. But we will organize. Once we meet, we will organize, because somebody doesn't even know where is. Maybe we might want to meet somewhere in town, such kind of details. Those, yeah, but all we want is have it simple, have a time of interacting and meeting each other, and have some fun. I'll be very happy to meet you. Definitely, I'm sure even some of you would love to see whether I have legs, because you usually see the head only and the chest, which is still fine. And the other one is, I have another poster here. Is okay. This is the same. It's the same, but we will make one for you. By the way, my IT guys are ready, are well set, and they will be able to make one for you like this. Just share with your networks that I will be attending. So this is personalized. Just give your name and your photo, and you will have something like this for Saturday. And Saturday, by the way, is Jamhuri Day. For those ones who didn't know, I know some of you may be going to the village, but I also heard the governors do not want you in the village. So please stop going to the village. Come to Ololua. Let's just have some, some time together. I know we may not also be having a lot of luxury of traveling around this time. So it might be the only outing you get around this time. And at this point, I announce this is the last. By the way, I shared our WhatsApp link there. If you are yet to join our WhatsApp group, please feel free to join. We have a place where we always communicate, and we will be having some silent weeks. We've been noisy and talking every Tuesday, every Saturday, and in betweens. But now, for several weeks, we'll be a bit quiet, but not quiet. We'll be engaging on other issues. But we are ending this tonight. Is the last of Zoom sessions. For those ones who have joined for tonight, tonight for the very first time, don't worry. All the 80+ recordings that we have had in the past are there. And so during this period, the break that we'll be taking until somewhere in January, I'll be telling you when, is we will be playing some of the powerful sessions like the one we have had tonight. We'll be streaming them so that I know people have joined at different times. There is somebody who is joining this for the very first time. They're hearing we've been doing this 8 months down the line. They're hearing we've had Juma, we've had Kigame, we've had Kajama, Charles Kajama, we have had Pielo Lumumba, we have had Waihiga Mwaura, we have had, who else? What are some of the names? As Sarah Karingi and Bitange Demo. I'm trying to name some names you can easily identify with, the likes of Masi Masika, Pitson. Those are people who have graced our show, and I'm sure you definitely would love to hear what is it that they have been able, they have said. And what is coming next year? Of course, tune in, stay close, stay in the WhatsApp group. We will be sharing. So in the course of these festivities, we will not keep quiet, but we will be more of replaying and discussing, replaying what has been happening, and also discussing and projecting and strategizing for the year to come, because we want to make 2021 much bigger, better, and more impactful. That's the intention, and more focused. Also during this period, we will try to to share as many testimonies as possible. And tonight, of course, time is up, but there's a guy who had promised that he will share a testimony tonight. Somebody look for me, look for Sadan for me. I want to give him 2 minutes to say, I think his is very, very inspiring. You want to hear this? I will give him 2 minutes. Sadan, you will not have more than 2 minutes to just say what you have to say. And finally, here we go. Or should I have started with this the last one? Where is it? Hey guys, I know the speaker talked about this. I got awarded. Yeah, that's as much as I can celebrate. I wish it was Juma who was celebrating on my behalf, so that it comes out nicely, yeah, nicely. And yeah, I'm so honored, I must say. Vigor Awards in Canada. Yeah, some guys in Canada decided to recognize what I'm doing. I don't know. Yeah, somebody informed them that I'm doing something. They listened. They asked me for more information. I shared. And they felt like I should win an award. So I'm so happy, I'm so honored. When I started this, I never even dreamt of any awards. I keep seeing people win awards, and I wonder what they do to win awards. I didn't know you just need to wake up one day and just do what you're feeling in your heart. And there, an award comes. So I'm so honored. I missed the opportunity to travel to Canada. This year it was virtual. It's the first time they are doing it virtually. So the other ones for previous years, you can visit their website, Vigor Awards, Unsung Hero Awards. You will see the red carpet reception that would have happened. So it happened in the heart and virtually, of course. But maybe, you never know. Possibly one day we will get those opportunities to go and see. But more importantly, I think I thank God that there's somebody or some people out there who feel like I've been contributing to the good of people's lives. And I feel so, so honored and humbled. And I want to continue doing this more and more, not for the award. The award is more of an inspiration, but more because of the lives that are being transformed. So thank you very much. I think that's as much as I will say, because I can see people are leaving and I don't want to. Yes, Caroline Wajiro, that's yes, that's true. You see only the head. Yeah, so I want to give Juma the opportunity to make his closing remarks, but he's sudden here. He's not. He had me mention his name and he ran away. But that's okay. I wanted him to say something, but he is among the many people I've been hearing their testimonies here who have, you know, we have just worked. We started together, and now they are doing very well. I mean, just through this program, I am so proud of him, and I'm so proud. You know, I'm so happy. You know, when I hear somebody say that, you know, they have just been doing, you know, listening to the program. Somebody called me or WhatsApped me an hour before I joined the meeting and said, from last Saturday's session, she got so inspired that she has started a program. In fact, allow me to share this. Okay, yeah, sorry, I had not prepared to share this, but I think it's an inspiration. You know, if this will never inspire, if we don't inspire people to, you know, to take some action, then I think we are not achieving any, you know, desired goal. Let me show you. This was on Saturday, and I'm sure many of you are here. Okay, here we go. The last thing I share. Look at that. Let's go kids fun, Karula Forest, walk and play. That will be on 15th December, 9 to 1 p.m. age 3 to 7. Charges 500. Pick-up point along Bika Road. Snacks will be free. Blah, 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 and all that information. If you're interested in more details, I can share this with you. I'm actually not sharing it to market. She did not even ask me to market. I am sharing because this is somebody who is telling me, after just joining the Saturday program, she felt like it's a bang. You know, why have you been sitting on an idea? Wake up and do it. And immediately she took action, and now here you see the poster. And I will be bringing her after maybe in January, asking her, how did it go? I'm sure she will not. She will not lack some money that will come as a result. It's just a question of, you know, taking action. And to me, this is what makes a difference. That people are being inspired to do something. Before Saturday, she was doing nothing about it. After Saturday, I mean, whatever. Maybe a passion has been born. And who knows, maybe a year from now, 2 years, she is the person I will be inviting, like Juma here, or the person, you remember I had invited this guy, Mariga, who just started going hiking, and now he's taking people all over the world. Maybe this will be the next big thing. Yeah, so thank you very much. So Juma, your closing remarks, and then call it a night. Is Juma still here? Yes, thank you.
Yes, I'm still here.
Yeah.
I need to say this. One of the key drivers for self-awareness comes from the stem in which Jesus needed to confirm that the people around him knew who he was. And he asked Peter, or the disciples, what do people say I am? When they said, people say X, Y, and Z, then he said, what do you say that I am? And then, of course, Peter says something that Jesus says that is inspired by the revelatory push by the Spirit of God. If you look at Peter, the disciple of Jesus, when Jesus had gone, he's the one who stood and spoke to crowds, because by virtue of his nature and his wiring, he was a speaker, sanguine, and structured, as it were. And he needed to explain scenarios that were happening. You see him deny Jesus and say, then the cock crows, then he remembers, then Jesus comes to him and says, Peter, Peter, do you love me? And like, I love you, you know. Then Jesus says, ask him 3 times, then that's when he sobers up. Remember the place I said, ask them the same question many times, and then the reality comes in. When you look then further to a guy called Paul, you can almost see Paul is headhunted for a certain skill set that he had. The disciples decided to pick a guy called Matthias. The first time you hear about that guy is the last time you hear about him. After that, there was the picking of, I think, what is his name? Stephen. The Bible says immediately he started serving the tables, signs and wonders followed. He was supposed to serve tables. We were supposed to be told how excellent he was in serving, in doing ushering. but the recording is not on ushering, but on the miracles. And the point is, when you understand yourself and you understand what you carry, then you start sharpening your skill and build your capacity for the things God has called you to. And where you know you will need more training, that blind spot is elevated when you meet people who can challenge you and you're able to listen and pick that. So as we face 2021, building that resilience, building that loyalty, building just the stamina that comes with knowing that God will sort us out on things we come short of, is an awareness of understanding that if God decides to reset the world, then he is God, but he will preserve us. So I pray that in 2021, you guys will enjoy, will find newer opportunities. You will serve the generation that God has called you to. Just like as Matthew said, you respond to a call, the imprint in your heart, and before you know it, your name is known beyond the borders of Kenya. Before you know it, you start seeing opportunities in areas. You start realizing that your joy is in knowing that someone else has been activated to do the things they were called to do. And I bless God for you guys. I hope you enjoy the rest of your night. And thank you so much. And 2021, I hope I'll be invited again but I'll be joining in, of course. I'm a member. And God bless you really good. Thank you, Matthew, for the opportunity. I'm honored and humbled to really be able to speak to your team. And God bless you. Baraka. I think Matthew, you're on mute.
Sorry for that. Sorry, I didn't realize. Yes. Thank you very much, Juma. I think it's been wonderful, a session. And thank you for the sacrifice, the preparation, the everything. And yes, 2021, again, we will meet here and even do much bigger and better. Okay, fine. Somebody was updating me that Sadan was not able to join because of power issues, but that's okay. That's still in order. So thank you, guys. I really appreciate. So I don't know. Do we have anybody who is here and will be attending on Saturday? Let me see by the show of hand. We will be coming on Saturday. I know some may be away from Nairobi. Like Modia here told me he is in M. Oh, great. I can see some hands up. Oh, that is great. Any other person? Okay, fine. The rest. 16 people who had registered, and we are expecting to have some more and more. Of course, we got no problem with even 100 is a big space. There will be social distancing. Don't worry. Come with your mask and just come to see, not touch. Yeah. So Nico Diaspora Mudia says yes, not a problem. The ones who can't make, not a problem. You will miss big time, I can tell you. But for as many as can make it, it will be great to have a nice time, and it will be our climax. Basically, it will be the last of our activities for the year. So thank you very much. I don't want to say more. God bless you so much. Apart from possibly the few who might want to remain with Juma here for the after session talk, I can give you some airtime and then you continue. And as usual, I had not prepared the usual what we usually call it. Let me see. I'm looking for our anthem. Your goodness is running after me. That is what I always play, and I don't want to have an exception tonight. And thank you for those ones who have the last 2 weeks. I've been heavily engaged at my workplace and other places, and therefore there are times I've not joined. And thank you. I think like last Saturday I was told it was big, but I was just told I couldn't join. I was overwhelmed, totally overwhelmed. I will actually be listening to the recording just like you do. But I'm also happy. In fact, I'm happy to report that I have a very able team, very able team. There's a Saturday we had a Muzungu. What was his name? Who was talking about trading in futures. And I just told my team, you know what, guys, I'm so overwhelmed. I can't even look for a speaker. Look for one, plan for the session, do everything, and just report to me how it will go. And I can tell you that the way it was done, I don't even know. I have the contacts of that person. They planned and they did everything, and they hosted, they did everything. So I tell you, I have a great team of volunteers. And by the way, there's always an opportunity for those ones who want to volunteer and do. Yeah, you can also be a blessing. So, and we are learning. The guys I'm working with, they say, oh yeah, he's Al Nawaz Nurani. That's what I'm being told. Yes, but was that the name that was on the poster? The poster had a different name. Yeah, so, but he did, I mean, you can be sure I have Mr. Sanu. I think that's the short form. Yeah, so that's the one who trained us the other day. And basically what I wanted to say is that I have a team, a powerful team that is able to do this. And in coming to 2021, I look forward even to raising a bigger team, or rather, I mean, it's more of mentorship, basically. The guys who are close to me, and I mentor them in many areas, and I'm so happy to see that they can run the program even without me, even going the looking of a speaker, organizing everything. As I've told you, I never got involved on. Zero involvement. There you go. Shalom.
Yes,